North Miami CRA meeting of Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I think we'll forego the invocation for the evening because, I'm just pulling. I just walked into the room and found out that the mayor is not going to be here tonight, and found out that Councilman Bieneme is not going to be here, at least for the CRA meeting. So I am going to wing it right now. And oh yeah, you have a printed. That's why I was trying to pull it up here. All right. The first item on the agenda, thank you, is the approval of the minutes for the special meeting from October the 25th and November the 22nd. Is there a motion for approval for the minutes for the, oh, you need to do the roll call.
Yes, roll call. Board Member Galvin.
Here.
Board Member Keys. Here. Board Member Desulme.
Here.
Board Member Bieneme. And Chairman Joseph. Board Member Galvin, you have a quorum.
Awesome. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October 25th and November 22nd?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Board Member Keys to move the approval of the minutes, and seconded by Board Member Desulme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 3-0.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 1, the resolution to approve the fiscal year 16-17 CRA budget amendment. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you is a budget amendment that the director will briefly walk you through to give context on what this budget amendment is. As you recall, we prepared a budget with the understanding that our CRA would be legally structured one way, and through the very arduous process that we completed towards the end of last year, specifically on December the 20th, we had to amend the adoption of our budget. Generally speaking, the expenditures and items are generally the same. We've put some more in capital, and overall you'll see that our revenues have increased as a result of the restructuring of our of the CRA. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rasha to walk you through some of the details.
Good evening, everyone. As the manager explained, in September, the board had approved the fiscal year 16-17 budget with the understanding that when we were negotiating the interlocal, we were looking at a 50-50 TIF negotiation and so on. And we did the budget accordingly, and the board had approved it. The new budget that you see that we're presenting to you is because when the BCC approved the new interlocal, they had changed the formula. Again, to remind you, the way they did the formula is now the city TIF will be back at 95% as it was originally. However, there'll be a refund of 45% on the east side of Biscayne Boulevard, the Munisport area. It's, once you look at the math, I gave you a cheat sheet, and it's also on the website. The net difference is about $766,000 that we put into the budget. And again, as per the interlocal, we're required to have a minimum of 10% of our budget supposed to go to housing. So most of that increase went straight into the housing rehab program that we will be discussing at next month's meeting, because I will be bringing forward some guideline programs for you to approve so we can start doing the rehab program. And the rest of the funding we put into the capital projects, as we've discussed before, for the capital grants, and also construction for the downtown corridor that we've been negotiating in the past. So if you can see under the expenditures, you'll see now there's a new line item. It's called City TIF Refund. And when you look at the proposed amended budget, it says 45% east. So we will be refunding to the city $356,892. And every year, as the development of the east side of Biscayne, mainly Solemia, comes, you will see a greater refund going towards the city to cover the other general expenses that we've been talking about moving forward.
Quick question. So this money is gonna go directly into our general funds, correct? Not the-
45%.
The 45%, the
Yes,
refund. Okay.
yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
This year, you're not gonna see any real impact, to be
Gotcha.
honest with you, because you haven't seen any real construction projects happening. But moving forward,
It
you
should-
know,
the
as the
amount.
properties' values go up. And on the back of it, it's all in your packet, and I did a cheat sheet. I did a pie chart to show so that the public can see how much money we're spending. So it's 67% of our funds go towards capital projects. 4% is administrative expenses, and 13% is operating expenses. And I also created a new piece of the pie so you can see the amount of refund going towards the taxing authorities. That's the county and the city. That's the refund that we are required to provide every year, and that's 16% this year. So if you have any other questions.
Doing a great job, Rasha. Is there anybody from the public who wants to speak on item number 1? Seeing nobody coming forward, public discussion is now closed. Is there any type of, is there a motion from the, questions from the council, of course, before we make a motion?
Quick question.
Councilwoman?
I'm in favor of this amended budget. The only thing I'm questioning, which I think we should also show, maybe it's not legally, so we're showing administrative expenses 4%. That 4% also is part of the 4 million carryover, correct? So we have a budget. We have a budget this year of 7,963,000, and so we're showing a total budget of 7,963,000. It's, to me, always year after year misleading that it looks like we have $8 million in revenue when actually we don't. 4 million has been carried over for several years. So our administrative expenses, even though it looks like 4%, is really more like 10%, which is okay, but
No,
I-
no, she's saying the 4, that's actually, she's saying the 4% calculation is based on the $7
on the-
million total
we have to
budget.
manage
A portion of it
administrative.
is carryover.
Yeah.
Carryover that's, and we need to be careful, carryover that's actually allocated
Related
to
projects.
two projects.
yeah, I'd like to see our actual operating expenses and other expenses for our current income as opposed to this carryover year after year, because it's really not income. But that's my only
For
comment.
accounting purposes and GL.
know it's
it
legal.
had- Yeah, it had to
But
be
it's
presented
it's
this
not,
way.
it's deceptive.
It's not accurate.
No, it
It's-
is,
it's
it is
accurate.
accurate. It is
It's-
accurate. It
It's
is
just
accurate.
somewhat
Yeah.
deceptive if you want to know what
Yeah.
you're,
Yeah.
if
But it's
we're
all-
really bringing in like 3 or 4 million and the 4%, and our expenses are 4%. I just like it maybe even shown both ways for a little more
We
transparency.
can do
Okay.
a separate presentation.
Okay, thank you.
This is correct.
But it is, the breakdown is in your packet if you'd like
Okay.
to see what it is.
Thank you.
And what it covers specifically. So,
Any other discussion from board members?
No,
If
no.
not, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a
Motion
motion on the board, on the floor by Board Member Keys and seconded by Board Member Desulme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 3-0.
All right. Item number 2, resolution to approve memorandum of understanding for 805 Realty LLC.
Through the chair, this item is consistent with the other MOUs that we passed late last year. This is with the owners of the said properties, Urim, who owns the property to the east of City Hall, and 2 properties on the north side of 125th. This will allow us time to potentially negotiate either a public-private partnership or some type of agreement with them with regards to building the parking garage, which is the paramount project that we need to advance per our new amended, updated CRA plan. So we ask for your support. There is no financial impact to the MOU. This just allows us time to negotiate with the property owner, and during the time frame, they've agreed not to sell their property or, move on the property, similar to the other MOUs that we've passed.
it's through July.
And this was through
July.
July.
So we have a 6-month window.
I'm sorry, can you say again?
It's through July. We have a 6-month window to either enter into a negotiation, keep it moving, or decide to
To not do anything.
not do anything.
All right, before we open council or board discussion, is there anybody from the public who'd like to be heard on item number 2? Seeing nobody coming to the microphone, is there any council discussion or motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Manager Obasha, how long is this memo, the MOU?
6
6
months.
months.
6
So
months?
July.
So what happened after the 6 months?
This as it reads expires, but we have the opportunity to either extend it. We had talked about a year time frame, but all of the property owners were concerned about having their properties held in suspense for that long, waiting on us. So at the end of the 6 months, we can either extend, or hopefully our plan is we'll have some type of agreement in place. This one is particularly important because the property owner owns property that are adjacent to the parking garage parcel that we own, and that is, again, one of the projects that we have to advance per our milestone agreements with the county.
Okay.
So,
Board Member Keys, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So move.
Second.
All
We
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, now we move on to one of my favorite places and locations. Item number 3, Evio's Pizza and Grill Beautification Grant. Is there anybody from Evio's here this evening?
I don't see Mr. Solari here, but he was here yesterday afternoon at our advisory committee meeting, so I don't know, maybe he's running late, but he was aware to be here today.
All right, staff, any presentation?
Yes. Evio's Pizza and Grill, located at 12600 Biscayne Boulevard, is a family-owned and operated restaurant. They have wonderful food, in particular the salads.
Salads.
They are to die for. We've been working with Mr. Solari on improving his property, and actually he even mentioned that there was a car accident actually most recently that they entered into his property. So this landscape, this barrier is going to help not only beautify and enhance his business, but also help him with, traffic damage control. He has 17 employees, 10 full-time and 7 part-time. He provided bids, they are in the package, and the lowest bidded amount, the total amount is $14,000. So that would follow under the 100% contribution of a beautification grant for $14,000. So staff recommends approval of the $14,000 grant.
And for further information, before I open up to the public, what exactly are they going to do to beautify?
They're going to be putting, apart from the landscaping, bamboo plants, lighting, some wooden barriers. They're going to put some rock beds. And there are some plans in irrigation for the landscaping. There are some plans, the before and after plans that they're projecting in the package, if you'd like to see. But I think it's a great addition to that business.
All right, thank you. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on the Evio's Pizza and Grill Beautification Grant? Seeing nobody. Anybody from the board wishes to?
Yes, one quick question, not necessarily towards this particular item, but can I get a list of the items that we have sponsored in the last fiscal year? The grants. Okay, perfect.
Board Member Keys?
Just that I will be voting in favor. I think it's a great addition, and it will make it safer. It's a really horrendous corner there, and putting up the concrete planters will make it a lot safer.
All right. Hearing that, is there a motion to approve the grant?
So move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, I understand that St. has asked that their item be withdrawn and continued.
We're asking that the item be continued. We need some additional time to fine tune this item with the executive director, and we plan to bring that back in our February meeting.
Awesome. All right. Item number 5, request to waive termination of grant agreement before January 28th, 2017.
Yes.
Staff.
Before you, there's a request from Mr. Ted Kirschmer. The broker, Matt Geimer, is present. Mr. Urim is in the process of purchasing that building. The CRA had provided a grant in 2010. That's when we wanted to retain 50 state security, and we had provided a $178,000 grant. Part of the grant guideline is you cannot sell the business or the building for 6 years and a month. And based on our math, that requirement will expire in January 28th. Unfortunately, their closing is happening a little bit sooner, so they're asking us to waive the last 2 weeks of that requirement with no penalties.
I see Mr. Geimer wanting to make a comment from the microphone. Mr. Geimer.
Good evening. Just to let you know, this grant was in place to keep 50 state security in the city of North Miami. Ted Kretschmar, after 41 years in the city, decided to sell the business, and it was purchased by U.S. Security. U.S. Security is the number 4 security company in the nation right now. They employ over 55,000 employees nationwide, and we were able to retain them at the office building, and they're actually turning their Dade County headquarters into 915 Northeast 125 Street in North Miami. So we signed them to a 5-year lease. So not only did we, keep a company, a national company in North Miami, but one that going to continue to grow and possibly take up the entire space of the property. Right now, they're leasing about 75% of the building, with future plans to grow into taking 100% occupancy of the building. So, and we're just cutting it short by 10 to 12 days, and we just didn't want to have any loose ends come up at closing.
Just to clarify, that's the business, but the property itself is being sold to
Correct. The
Urim.
property itself is being sold to Urim. The business was sold to U.S. Security, who is going to stay as a tenant in the property at 915 Northeast 125 Street.
Just to remind the board, the grant was for both 50 state security and the property. So I just want to clarify the 2 sales. When the business was sold, and now the building is being sold.
Right, the business isn't final. The business isn't going to be finalized until actually September of this year. It's on a schedule plan out, so that falls well after the guidelines. It's just the sale of the building we're concerned with.
So what are they asking us again? To just,
The last 2 weeks of the requirement, they would like us to waive it without any penalty.
it's only 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Mr. Zelkowitz, were you?
Through the chair, can I ask Mr. Geimer a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Geimer,
Yes.
is it possible to delay the closing by 2 weeks?
It is possible. It's just going to add into added expenses, and we could just push it back, but we didn't see that it was going to be necessary to. But if it is necessary to, we can push it back to the 28th.
And just, my comment is this, and listen, I'm all in favor of this transaction, having the business, the property kept the way it is. We made a substantial investment. We, the CRA, made a substantial investment. So these folks are asking for a 2-week waiver. So we grant it. So what happens the next time when it's 30 days, 45 days? Where do we draw the line in the future? It sets I'm just saying this sets a precedent going down the road with other grantees who may want to sell their property and have us waive the last, however many days of our repayment provision. I know it's only 2 weeks. It's only 2 weeks. If you want to sort of say 2 weeks is sort of the max we'll ever do or something like that, that's fine too. But I'm just letting you know that you're setting a precedent by doing this.
Mr. Board Member DeSolme.
Yes. With that being said, I would say if we were, can we say, let's just do a 10-day, a 2 weeks time frame where this does not continue? I didn't.
So what I would like, my rebut to that, or not even a rebut, I kind of can concur with the precedent, and what we're going to be bringing back some new bylaws and operating rules. Recapture is now something that is, and clawbacks are requirements in our overriding guidelines from the county. So what I think we should do is establish some type of proration or a process similar to what we have on the CP&D side with our HUD loans, so that, all right, fine, the
So
grant
we'll know.
has driven out for this point.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to pay us back 50% at this point, or 25%, 10%, or whatever the number is, so that it's kind of consistent. This one, from my opinion, because it's just 2 weeks, and I appreciate the guidance from the attorney. You know,
Let it
I'm
slide.
I'm in support of, because it literally is. You're
2
right.
weeks.
You're right there.
Yeah.
So, but had it been 45 days, had it been 60 days, I probably would be saying, hey, we need to get
But can in
$10,000 back, or
the guideline that you speaking of, can we just put that within the guideline? That
Yeah,
It will
yeah,
be
it'll be,
that would be
it'll
part of
within
it.
the guideline.
Absolutely. Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I mean, I certainly agree with the executive director in this particular instance. I just, knowing the demeanor at, the county and the resolution and the clawback provisions, I don't want to get us into any hot water downtown because they come and they audit these grants all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, on an annual basis, and we're dealing with that right now. So, in this particular case, assuming we're going forward, and we've always discussed making these grants, forgivable when it comes to the clawback on a percentage basis, as it's really a 5-year no-sell provision. So, every year it goes down 20% on the clawback side. That works for me too. We do that at other CRAs. So, having heard that, I'd say, let's go ahead and assuming that's the will of the board, and move forward with this.
All right. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on item number 5? Seeing nobody, is there a further discussion or motion from the board?
I'd like to ask our attorney a question through our chair. You mentioned that the business was supposed to stay. So 50 states sold to this new security company. Was that considered staying, or is that a transfer?
It would
Because
be a
they
transfer, but
took over the,
my understanding is that's not even going to finalize until next September. So that would be well past the 2-week deadline that we're facing right now on the sale of the property.
so we have mitigating circumstances that even though the sale of the actual real estate is happening, the business, 75% of the building and the business is remaining.
We could look at it
Which
that way
is-
as well,
Which
certainly.
is the way I would like to look at
I
it.
mean, the whole point of this grant was to keep the business and the employees in the city of North Miami
Which
as
we are
opposed to
doing.
moving out, which you
Yeah.
did. So it was a great grant.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Motion to approve by Board Member Keys. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Item number 5 passes. Mr. Zelkowitz, and if there's a going away party, retirement party for Mr. Kretschmar, please let us know.
I will, definitely. And you guys need to reach out to the new largest employer in the city of North Miami, too. They're there.
Thank you. Mr. Zelkowitz, a report? All right. Executive Director, a report?
Just the police report from Chief Page, providing an update as always on the CRA downtown officer and the Northwest 7th Avenue officer.
Good evening. To report briefly, you have the report, I believe, in your package for the downtown officer. We continue to have our high visibility patrol out there. One of the restaurants that was brought to our attention is the cafe that opened, and we've instructed our officers to go by every single day and meet with the management of the cafe. And we have a nice picture there of them meeting with the cafe and the manager of the cafe on the Segway that the CRA had purchased for us. The crime in the center district, the downtown, from 6th Ave to 10th Ave, from 124 to 126th Street. We're happy to report there was only 3 crimes reported during the 3-month period. In the report, it shows 2 crimes. The 3rd crime came at the very end of the reporting period and wasn't entered yet into the data system that we pulled the stats from. But there's actually 3 crimes in the downtown area for the 3-month period. And that's not just for the hours that we work. That was for the whole 24/7 hours for the 3-month period within that downtown area. So we've seen it be very successful to have the officer out there. And one of the keys I'd like to point out is the 1,735 contacts that we made to people in the downtown area. Those were contacts that members of the police department got to interact with visitors to the downtown community. So that's for the downtown report. And on the CRA off-duty for the west side goes basically from the post office, which is on the Northwest 10th Avenue on 119th Street, and then comes up on Northwest 7th Avenue to 125th Street. And it takes from the alleyway on 7th Avenue to I-95. So it kind of makes an L shape over there, or an upside down backwards L, and encompasses the business district. On the west side, we contacted 629 visitors to the west side district. The number is a little bit smaller than the downtown, but the downtown also has larger events like Jazz at Mocha, Art Basel, and other events that took place where the population density is much larger sometimes in the downtown than it is on the northwest corridor. If you look at some of the stuff for the northwest corridor side, they're actually printed out the detailed crime report because there's a few more crimes that took place on the west side. But if you look through the numbers, 70% of the crimes reported took place in that one plaza, that Kentucky Fried Chicken, Family Dollar, AutoZone Plaza, accounted for 70% of the crimes that took place. And all but one of the crimes were property crimes. They're all thefts, shopliftings. So our officers go out and they speak with the business owners, they speak with the visitors to the corridor, and they give them crime prevention and target hardening tips. And we really look as education and high visibility as part of the solution to reduce some of the crimes on the northwest corridor area. And that's it, unless there's any questions.
Questions?
Yeah, I do. I have been saying this, I would like to see more visibility during the early evening hours over at the cafe. A lot of people are eating there in the evening, and one of the reasons I thought this would be a great idea is so people could come out after dark and feel comfortable eating there knowing someone was there watching. And really, I've been there several evenings, don't see a lot of police presence in the evening, and also, was it Jazz at Mocha, I would like to see our CRA officer there during the Jazz at Mocha, and we've had some other parties, events. I'd like to see a little more presence there when we have events.
They're there every single night from 6 to 10 in the evening. So from 6 to 10,
Never see them.
they'll be there every single evening. They spend a lot of the time by the Deals and the Simons in addition to the cafe and the plaza area, because that's where more of the activity goes on. In the previous reports, we've had incidents that took place, vehicle burglary, shoplifting, fraud cases, and everything else that takes a little bit further east.
In the evening?
In the evening times, yes. And that's when the people park in the parking lots. And remember, the parking lot for Cafe Crim and everything else, a lot of people park in that east parking lot over there. So they try to spend some time, they balance it between the plaza, the cafe, down by the subway, the Simons. So they're within that whole corridor. So if you don't see them exactly at Cafe Crim, doesn't mean they're not somewhere in the corridor patrolling. And they've been directed to increase a little bit more of their time in that plaza area. So we'll work on that going forward.
Thank you, Assistant Chief.
No problem.
Sir,
Yes.
are other officers working?
Yes.
Other than, okay, because that's it's kind of funny because you right in front of the police station. So imagine if you on the other side of town. I mean, it's like you should be seeing cops in and out or something.
The CRA detail is an addition to the
That's what I
baseline
thought.
services provided by the police department.
We're
So where's the other
beyond,
officer?
beyond that detail, and I think I've talked to you about this privately in our briefings. I'm working
Okay, so it's
with the
working.
chief and our law enforcement consultant to come up with a new organizational strategy that will definitely put more visibility on the street.
Thank you. Assistant Chief, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, microphone is now open for any other public comments that anybody wants to make. I want to take a moment to recognize a group of students from Alonzo and Tracy Morning High School who are apparently in the room tonight. Those of you who are on, good to have you here. If you're on social media, pull out your phone, check in, tag us, like us, follow us on Twitter. Make sure you make it known that you were here, and we can let your teachers know you were here as well. Old business, any old business? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's CRA meeting?
Second.
We're adjourned. See you at 7 o'clock for the regular meeting.
6:30. Yeah. No. Stephen, wait for me because I have to chat with you.